Welcome to Oito. Although it's common knowledge that Deadpool is a parody of Deathstroke, his imitation tactics don't stop there. Deadpool appropriates from the greatest, including Superman and Thor. And here are 15 times Deadpool copied other comic book characters. If you are brand new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to get all the new videos. Deathstroke. We might as well start with the most obvious contender. Deadpool was Marvel's answer to DC's Deathstroke, unless you really don't know anything about him. When Deathstroke first appeared, people were beginning to find the whole thing quite ridiculous, and gritty and dark characters were still considered fresh. Marvel, in order to provide some commentary on Slade Wilson, introduced Wade Wilson as Deadpool. To be fair, like Deathstroke, Deadpool was once a more somber anti-hero. So first, the only thing that was strikingly similar between them was their looks. However, as Deadpool changed over time, he became the humorous character that fans now identify with him. Despite all of the potential between them, Wade and Slade have never formally gotten together. However, based on Deadpool's interactions with more somber Marvel heroes like the Punisher, we doubt Wade would treat his inspiration with any deference. The healing factor of Wolverine. While we are clearing away the blatant examples of plagiarism, we must discuss Deadpool's relationship with Wolverine. Many of you will undoubtedly point out that Daken and X-23 are also endowed with healing elements, thus Wolverine isn't the only one with that ability, but he is unquestionably the creator of it. After all, the fact that Daken and X-23 are so closely related to Logan's tale is not by accident. It's also no coincidence that Logan frequently faces up against Deadpool, similar to how Deadpool imitated Deathstroke. In this case, Deadpool appropriated someone else's gimmick, modified it to suit his needs, and made it an integral part of his identity. At this moment, fans generally agree that Deadpool has a stronger healing factor than Logan. It enables him to recover from his disease, grow new limbs, and even endure having his skull severed. Although Logan has weathered some extremely harsh conditions, his capacity for mending varies greatly, and Deadpool is now almost always portrayed as being nearly unbreakable. Like Superman, changing in a phone booth. In a nutshell, the latest trailer for Deadpool 2 provided enough hilarious moments to get fans ready for the full-length film's debut in 2019. Fans were piqued when they saw what it would be like for Deadpool to have to quickly change into his outfit in order to save an innocent bystander. Stan Lee made an appearance in the moment, but Deadpool's rescue of the innocent still needs improvement. The entire sequence was a parody of Superman's famous costume change, in which he enters a phone booth, changes, and then exits a short while later, ready to save the day. Wade Wilson demonstrated how difficult it is to change clothes in a phone booth due to the small space available, the time it would take to change into a new clothing, and the fact that the booths are constructed of glass, making it possible for onlookers to see the hero in his underwear. Deadpool is unlikely to decide to steal Superman's famous dressing room again because the civilian was already dead before he was allowed to act. Turned into a Hulk. In this particular instance, Deadpool was merely one of many characters at Marvel who were mimicking another character. Granted, caving into social pressure by claiming that all my friends were doing it is normally a poor idea, but in this instance, it may be excused because everyone was just obtaining awesome Hulk powers. As is typical with these Marvel events, an odd trend is introduced into the globe and impacts every hero. In some cases, that trend involves zombies, but in this instance, it involved everyone becoming Hulkified. The main plot points revolve around bad guys attempting to build an army of Hulks in order to rule the entire planet and a major conflict with Red Hulk. The interesting thing is that we get to witness characters who are normally far weaker than the Hulk suddenly grow extremely powerful and bulky. There is a Hulk pool, and characters like Spider-Man and Cyclops transform into Spider-Hulk and Hulklop, respectively. True to form, Hulkpool's incredible strength, time travel ability, and general desire to cause mischief make him just as much of an instigator as his non-Hulk counterpart and a constant source of frustration for the other heroes. Took up fake Thor. Wade has not suffered any repercussions from stealing Deathstroke's appearance, but not everyone is as ready to give Deadpool a pass for this action. Thor is one person who takes his position as a god very seriously. It takes someone like Loki to turn Deadpool into a phony Thor in order to get under Thor's skin. In addition to receiving a winged helmet and a mock-up of Mjolnir, Deadpool also adopted an archaic English speech pattern. The real Thor was obviously not amused. A fight of the Thunder Gods between Deadpool and the real Thor went about as poorly as you might have expected. Deadpool's taunts quickly wore on Thor, who then disarmed Wade of the phony Mjolnir. Thor held both hammers in his hands and waited for Deadpool to approach before trapping Wade's head between the blows from both weapons. Deadpool was completely unconscious from it, and upon awakening, he was stripped of his Thor cosplay. The Iron Suit. You would think Deadpool would have realized that other heroes wouldn't be cool with him borrowing their costumes after how disastrous the whole thing was with him dressing up as Thor went. Maybe he just doesn't care that he knows. Deadpool's healing factor has the benefit of allowing him to be resilient and not worry about dying in the face of anger. That likely clarifies why Deadpool reasoned that stealing Iron Man's armor in 2016 would be a smart idea. It's difficult to hold Deadpool responsible for his desire for the Iron Man armor given that Wade is unable to fly. When Tony Stark was rendered unconscious at one of his parties, Deadpool took the time to go through Tony's belongings. Deadpool lived up to the Stark reputation, flying around, getting wasted, and fighting crime. Naturally, the fun ended when Tony came to, but even though he betrayed the confidence of another superhero, Deadpool still had the memories to console him. Super Soldier. There will always be disagreements on the transitional phase when a new character steps up to assume the role of a classic hero. Over the past several years, we've seen it happen frequently: Jane Foster as Thor, Riri Williams as the new Iron Man, and X-23 assuming the mantle of Wolverine. Eventually, of course, it was Captain America's turn, and we had to ponder who would succeed Steve Rogers. Marvel made the decision to reveal who wouldn't be, revealing Captain America, who won't wield the shield. This story uses a number of mini-stories that feature characters such as Doctor Strange assuming the role of Captain America to parody a number of the practices that Marvel fans have been critical of the company for. The overuse of Deadpool in previous storylines was one tendency that fans were becoming bored of, so Marvel made fun of themselves by imagining what Deadpool would look like in Captain America's past. This Deadpool exited the war by smoking so much that it was thought to be chemical warfare, so, this time around, his heroic mask is a gas mask. However, there was still hope for Deadpool to have a part in the conflict because he was given the opportunity to play a super soldier, much like Steve Rogers. Stole death from Thanos. You might think that Deadpool's inability to pass away is due only to the fact that everyone is aware of his healing factor. But because Deadpool has stolen from someone else once more, there's more to it than that. In this instance, Deadpool erred by robbing Thanos, one of the most formidable antagonists in Marvel history. And it's not like he stole Thanos' clothes or something. Deadpool actually took Thanos' affection. Thanos genuinely adores Death. In Marvel, Death is a real person, and Thanos has feelings for her. In an attempt to impress her with the amount of destruction he could bring about, he once destroyed roughly half the universe because he was so fascinated. However, Thanos had to find out that his crush, Deadpool, was more interested in someone else, akin to a teenager having their heart broken. Thanos was enraged to discover that Deadpool had taken Death's interest out of his hands. He was so furious that he chose to curse Deadpool with immortality in order to prevent him from ever dying and to give him the chance to meet with Death. Copying the comic cover of Spider-Man. Even though an homage isn't quite as significant as outright stealing specifics from the abilities or characteristics of another character, Deadpool still borrows from a variety of sources. It's no secret that Spider-Man has influenced Deadpool in both real life and the world of his fiction. As a matter of fact, Deadpool now teams up with Spider-Man more often than not. Naturally, Wade would eventually have to pay homage to Marvel's poster child. Although comic book cover homages are nothing new, it's rare to see one as much as the one for Deadpool number 11, in which the characters go over and beyond to make the reference. Even though Deadpool lacks the ability to fly or shoot webs, he nevertheless imitated Spidey's signature acrobatics for this cover. Deadpool soared between skyscrapers, a civilian tucked under one arm. He even had his outfit done up in the wall crawler's iconic red and blue. To make this instance of copying even more obvious, Deadpool was shown in the upper corner doing another classic Spider-Man pose in which he crawled on all fours like a spider. X-Men Origins stole Cyclope's eye laser and Nightcrawler's teleportation power. Even if most fans would want to forget the Deadpool from X-Men Origins, Wolverine, because of how dishonestly he was portrayed, he still possesses a respectable assortment of abilities. In reality, this Deadpool was really a chimera created by combining the skills of several strong mutants. Although that made him a deadly threat, Deadpool wasn't meant to be like that. Not only did Wade possess Wolverine's healing factor, but he also had Wolverine's adamantium blades shooting out of his arms like swords. Furthermore, he possessed the same teleportation ability as Nightcrawler, which he used to his advantage to battle both Wolverine and Sabretooth at the same time. And if that wasn't enough, he could also use ranged attacks because he could shoot optic blasts, just like Cyclops. However, Deadpool's eye lasers were superior to Scott's since he could manage the timing of his shots without needing to wear an inhibitor visor. Although it was impressive to see someone with so many amazing abilities, we're happy to see Deadpool's abilities rendered more faithfully in modern comics. Copies Ryu's Shoryuken. While most people don't immediately think of Ryu when they think of comic book characters, there have been Street Fighter comics. Given that he has been glad to employ one of Street Fighter's iconic moves against his opponent, it appears that Deadpool is also a fan of the game. It all began in the comic books, where Deadpool was searching for someone to battle him before deciding to try to incite a fight with Wolverine. Logan first refused because he was out having fun with Kitty Pryde and the two were simply trying to have fun. Deadpool then asked Kitty whether she played Street Fighter, and before she could respond, he used one of Ryu's Shoryuken uppercuts to hurl her into the air. Although the panel has gained a lot of popularity and amusement on the internet, Deadpool has used Ryu's techniques on other occasions. Deadpool eventually appeared in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and probably because of his comic book appearance, he used a Shoryuken as one of his attacks. Since Deadpool finally got to use the move against its creator and Ryu as a recurring character in the franchise, it's extremely funny. Mercs for Money was launched. Hero for Hire was once one of Luke Cage's monikers, just how Deadpool is frequently referred to as the Merc with a Mouth. It was because Luke Cage was one of the few heroes who thought his valor merited payment and wanted to charge for his assistance. In the end, Cage transformed this into a superhero team for other heroes with similar goals who wanted to get compensated for their labors. In the 1990s, Deadpool had already collaborated with them. Years later, he chose to form his own version of the group, so perhaps he found enjoyment in the experience. Sadly for Deadpool, even in comic books, stealing occurs. Luke Cage did not attack Wade as is usually the case with superheroes when he discovers what Deadpool is doing. Cage chose to follow the law instead. Since Daredevil practices law when not in costume, Matt Murdock and Cage started suing Deadpool. Deadpool is a formidable fighter, but he is helpless against the law. To keep the pants on his back, he promptly renamed his group the Mercs for Money. Copying the slapping Robin meme from Batman. At some point, if you're even somewhat familiar with online memes, you've probably seen the one with Batman hitting Robin. In the most well-known rendition, Batman slaps his apprentice and exclaims, "My parents are dead," in response to Robin inquiring about his parents. There have been countless more incarnations of the panel as individuals have added their own amusing touches. Marvel joined in on the excitement because it has grown so well known. An alternative cover for All New Wolverine featured X-23 in her new position, assuming Logan's persona in light of his demise. Variant cover for issue number 4 parodied Logan's passing in a manner reminiscent of internet memes. When Deadpool asked how Logan was doing on the cover, X-23 slapped him and said, "Logan is dead." Deadpool's imitation of Batman is hardly shocking, but whether the joke will still be funny in 5 years or so will be. The joke won't really have a punchline if Logan doesn't remain dead. The deathly walking. Deadpool not only impersonates other characters, but he will even openly mimic a whole comic book series. He wouldn't be doing badly to emulate The Walking Dead, if he were to do so. After all, one of the most watched TV series right now is an adaptation of the novel. Allusions to The Walking Dead were practically a given, because the film Night of the Living Deadpool came out following the series' Zombie Mania. The narrative began immediately with allusions to The Walking Dead, as Deadpool awakens from a coma following a chimichanga overindulgence. There were signs alerting him to the deceased being locked outdoors when he awoke. Naturally, this reminds me a lot of The Walking Dead's opening scene, in which Rick was wounded, went into a coma, and awoke in the hospital to discover that there was a zombie apocalypse. In actuality, Zombieland and Night of the Living Dead are just two of the many zombie-related works of pop culture that Night of the Living Deadpool references. Nevertheless, Deadpool had a lot more to imitate as the plot developed. The allusions to The Walking Dead didn't end with the opening. Wearing the symbiote for the first time. Everyone is familiar with the tale of how the symbiote integrated itself into the Marvel Universe. Well, they believe they do. We all know that Spider-Man received the sleek new black outfit once the symbiote bonded with him. Spidey eventually discovered that the black suit was sending out signals and that it was affecting his personality. Then learned that the symbiote was sensitive to loud noises and decided to get rid of it. He entered a bell tower and used the bell's gonging to cause the symbiote to detach from his body, pulling off his best Hunchback of Notre Dame dance. From there, Venom was created when the alien connected with Eddie Brock. The issue is that Deadpool altered this tale. We discovered that Deadpool was the first to don the symbiote outfit, not Peter and Eddie as we initially thought. Deadpool got rid of the alien swiftly, but after coming into contact with Deadpool's thoughts, the symbiote became mad and harbored deadly ambitions. Hence, not only did Deadpool take center stage for being the first to don the symbiote, but he also bears some of the blame for it turning into such a crazy and lethal weapon for all those who did wear it after him. Do you have any more enjoyable memories of Deadpool imitating other comic books? Let me know what you think by leaving a comment below.